Today's episode of Off the Timeline is titled, What if Nick Saban stayed at Michigan State? What if one coaching decision changed the entire balance of college football? Not at Alabama, not at LSU, but at Michigan State. Because in this alternate universe, Nick Saban never leaves the Spartans in 1999. That one decision reshapes recruiting. It changes which programs dominate the 2000s, and it leads to one of the most controversial championship races in college football history involving Michigan State, UCLA, and Oklahoma. But the moment that changes everything happens in Pasadena. And that sets the table for the decision that changes everything. In real life, Nick Saban left Michigan State after the 1999 season to take the job at LSU. That move eventually set off a chain reaction that led to his legendary run at Alabama. But in this universe, Saban stays. Michigan State gives him full control of the program, recruiting, staff hiring, facilities, everything. Suddenly, the Spartans have something most programs in the early 2000s don't. A coach who understands how to build a national recruiting pipeline. And that's when the ripple effects begin. Now let's set the table for the Oklahoma ripple. Because if Saban never leaves Michigan State, one of the biggest hires in college football history never happens. Bob Stoops never becomes the head coach of Oklahoma and holds out as an assistant for a few more years. Without Stoops available, the Sooners go in a completely different direction, hiring offensive innovator Mike Leach. And suddenly, the identity of Oklahoma football changes overnight. Instead of the balanced powerhouse that dominated the early 2000s, Oklahoma becomes the most exciting offense in America. The air raid arrives in Norman years earlier than anyone expected, and the Big 12 becomes absolute chaos. And that sets the table for the UCLA opportunity. Bob Stoops doesn't stay an assistant forever. A few years later, another opportunity appears. UCLA is looking for a program changing coach. The Bruins have the recruiting base. They have the LA market, but they don't aren't a national power at the time. So UCLA swings for the fences and hires Bob Stoops. Now suddenly three different programs are rising at the same time. Michigan State, UCLA, and Oklahoma, each with a completely different identity. And that sets the table for three programs and three styles. By the mid 2000s, the sport has three dominant philosophies. At Michigan State, Saban builds a defense-first powerhouse, relentless defense, elite recruiting, championship expectations. At UCLA, Stoops builds a balanced program that can compete with anyone in the country. And in Oklahoma, Mike Leach unleashes the most chaotic offense college football has ever seen. The Sooners start putting up video game numbers, 50 points, 60 points, sometimes more. But the moment that defines the entire universe happens in 2005, and that sets the table for the Pasadena heist. The 2005 season ends with a national championship matchup nobody expected. Michigan State versus USC. USC is chasing a historic three-peat. The Spartans are trying to prove they belong at the top of the sport. Late in the fourth quarter, USC is up 38 to 35. Michigan State has the ball with just over a minute left. Everyone in the stadium expects Saban to play it safe, run the ball, kick a field goal, but instead, Michigan State lines up to spike the ball, the quarterback drops back, the defense relaxes, and suddenly the play is still alive. The quarterback hands to the running back tosses it back. Quarterback launches a deep pass toward the end zone. Touchdown! Michigan State wins the national championship. The play becomes known forever as the Pasadena heist, and everything changes. And that sets the table for recruiting chaos. After that game, something unexpected happens. Elite recruits from California start leaving the West Coast. Some head to Michigan State, while others stay and choose UCLA. The recruiting pipelines that once fed USC now split between two new contenders. Suddenly, the balance of power in college football changes. Michigan State becomes the dominant program in the Midwest. UCLA rises as a legitimate challenger in the Pac-10, and Oklahoma keeps lighting up scoreboards in the Big 12. But the real chaos arrives in 2011. And that sets the table for the triangle season. By 2011, all three programs reached their peak at the same time. Michigan State enters the season undefeated and ranked number one. Oklahoma is scoring at a historic pace. UCLA is dominating the West Coast under Stoops. The media starts calling it the triangle season. Three elite teams, three different philosophies, but only two spots in the national championship game. Michigan State finishes 13-0. Oklahoma finishes undefeated. UCLA finishes 12-1 after winning against multiple top 10 teams. And when the BCS rankings are revealed, UCLA is left out. And that sets the table for the BCS meltdown. The rankings come out like this: number 1 Michigan State, number 2 Oklahoma, number 3 UCLA. Fans are furious. Analysts argue UCLA had the better resume, but the computers disagree. And suddenly, the national championship becomes defense versus air raid, Saban versus Leach, Michigan State versus Oklahoma. The controversy becomes so intense that many fans point to this exact season as the moment the playoff era truly became inevitable. All because of one decision in 1999, Nick Saban never leaves Michigan State, Oklahoma becomes the home of the air raid, UCLA rises under Bob Stoops, and college football enters an entirely different era. But the question is, if this timeline had actually happened, would Michigan State have become the dynasty of the 2000s? Or would Oklahoma's offense have eventually taken over the sport? Let me know what you think in the comments. And if you enjoy alternate college football universes like this one, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and check out the next universe on your end screen, because trust me, the timelines are only beginning.